I'm just like, this is Law and Order. I gotta be serious. I walk in the room, and I walk in just I'm making a beeline. I'm staring everyone down. And then this is the director, Jonathan Pressman. And I'm like, hey. And then all of a sudden I got like a flash. Like that fucking scene in Ratatouille when he eats the thing and all of a sudden he's a child again. I am all of a sudden just like, I'm in my 8-year-old bedroom. And there's like posters on the wall for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. And at the bottom, directed by Jonathan Pressman.
Welcome to My Worst Audition.
Welcome back to My Worst Audition. With me today is the very funny Billy Beyrer. Billy is an actor, comedian who has been performing improvisation and sketch comedy up and down the East Coast for nearly 20 years. He was a regular at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, where he appeared opposite former WWE superstars Mick Foley and Dolph Ziggler, had a monthly show, Showdown, at QED in Astoria, and has appeared on Showtime's Ray Donovan, CBS's Bull, and HBO's The Gilded Age, to name a few. But I will always treasure Billy as the man I know who will put his body on the line just for a bit. Billy, thank you very much for joining me on My Worst Audition.
It's great to be here. I've retired from putting my full body on the line once it became hazardous to my health. That said, Mick Foley credit was what started it. On that show, that was 11 years ago, I broke my collarbone on stage.
Yeah.
And then I finished. Was still up there for another 20 minutes.
I know. I love it. It's legendary. I would imagine folks at UCB must still talk about you because everybody heard about that.
Yes and no. And I will I'll leave it at that.
You just leave it at that? Okay, fair.
Although it's been years. We've made peace. I showed up for their. I ended up leaving them after that, like shortly after, and then I came back for like their final show.
I was going to say, I feel like you went on stage and did something like the bit again. Am I wrong?
Something similar. It was different but the same. I played the same like character because it was a comedy wrestling show. Mm-hmm. So I brought the character out of retirement as a surprise for their very last big show, and it was kind of good to see everyone and kind of make peace and kind of just be like, kind of like you see in the real wrestling business now, where people, have a falling out and then a decade later show up and be like, hey guys, remember when I was a dick? So
yeah, man, it's great. It's like there are very few times that an improv or sketch comedy show will be remembered as some like legendary thing. I'm quite certain yours is remembered.
Well, yeah, we did. That was all from just the character that I was playing. They wouldn't let me have a microphone. They wouldn't let me do promos. They wouldn't let me, essentially be funny. It was just like the pun title name with all the pun title stuff, and I created like little videos, and I would do little stuff outside of the stage time to kind of just still get that kind of be funny instead of just being this like my character was a whole lot of denim, and instead of just being like a denim wrecking ball with pun titled moves wearing jeans like septuple denim, I did my own thing. So what I started to do was I started challenging actual professional wrestlers
so good
to rock, paper, scissors. And I would show up in full gear at like I showed up at like Chris Jericho's book signing. I showed up at Late Night with Jimmy Fallon when like The Miz was on there. I would show up at indie wrestling shows and just get in these guys' face, and they just see me because I'm a big dude. And at first they're like, and then I'm like, paper, scissors right now, and they're like, okay. And that's ultimately how I ended up getting Mick Foley to come do our show.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm really impressed how you got that done.
It was just browbeating someone on Twitter in 2011.
Back when that worked, I guess.
Yeah. It was a different time.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's legendary stuff. Get him show up.
And then when he found out I broke my collarbone, I got a text saying, you broke your collarbone and finished. You're my hero. And I'm like, well, I quit. I'm done.
I remember that. I remember seeing that. Yes.
That's like, well, that's one of those, like, I peaked. It's over.
That's legendary.
No more fatty fall down. I know,
man.
I can, now I can start going for the John Candy of the, the staying upright.
Yeah.
Fat guy comedy roles.
I got a question for you. And you're obviously a wrestling fan, and you're obviously a comedy fan and quite good at it. If you had to choose, you can only wrestle one. Would you rather wrestle Mick Foley or Andy Kaufman?
Ooh. I feel like Foley you'd actually get a match out of, because Kaufman was just kind of, he was carried. He was carried through most of his stuff he did with Lawler, most of the stuff he did in Mid-South. He was very much carried through all the stuff.
Still, it's Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, but it's 1983 Mid-South, like rural Tennessee wrestling versus, like, Foley stuff. Foley could be like, he could do. He just showed up at a indie show in Jersey, the ICW NHB death match, dressed as Santa Claus, like doing DDTs on thumbtacks. That was
so
over the
cool.
Weekend. I would probably if anything, I would with Andy Kaufman. Yeah, it'd be a fun little thing where I just probably because of the size, I chase him around, blah blah blah. I hit him 2-3 things, it's over. Whereas Foley, it's like, oh, we can go to war and also make people laugh also in the middle of it too. Like there was a great comedy match at WrestleMania it was a year and a half ago. It was a no disqualification street fight between one wrestler, Sami Zayn, and Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
And it was great. It involved there was weapons and then jackass weapons. like all of a sudden there was a giant hand that slapped him out and a giant
perfect
and an absurd sized mousetrap. Like
perfect.
You can there's nowadays you could do both.
That's fun.
You can do kind of that kind of balance between comedy and actual. There's a character in AEW right now called Orange Cassidy he could do little fun little comedy stuff, or he could do a 45-minute technical match.
Oh wow! See, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. Like the only comedy I got to enjoy, watching wrestling growing up was like Rowdy Roddy Piper doing a promo. Like that was like the height of comedy, and I feel like
you watch
there's
it
much more.
Now it's a little. The one who's the funniest now, if you go back and watch the old stuff, it's Bobby the Brain Heenan.
He's good.
Him on commentary, just shitting on somebody or shitting on a town, or just like he's this fast talking, like Chicago wise guy, just like lightning quick. One of the most famous quotes was like he was doing some talk show, and he's like doing a Q&A with the crowd, and he asked some guy in the audience, he's like, "Oh, sir, are you married?" He's like, "Yeah, 25 years." Like, "Oh, okay. You realize if you killed her, you'd be out by now?" Like, nice. Just this wise. I'm auditioning for college when they wanted a classic, like one classical, one modern monologue.
Oh, this is the thing. I didn't know this. They make you audition for college if you're going into like theater or something.
This is 22 years ago.
I had no clue that was a thing.
And one comedy, one drama. So everyone always did like some sort of Shakespearean dramatic monologue, and then a comedy monologue, some sort of modern comedy monologue. I did the opposite, and I did. I was at SUNY Purchase, and I was doing Bottom as Pyramus from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay, I'm an idiot. Thank you for explaining.
No problem. And he's playing a character in a play within a play where he overacts and dies.
Okay, I've heard of this.
So I was doing that scene, and that's when I did the wrestling kicked in, and face planted when I first died, and I stayed there because I hit my head kind of accidentally smacked the floor, and I'm just like, but I could hear them at the table like and then I popped back up and just kept doing the overdramatic death because I kept doing that over and over and over again. And I ended up getting called back for that, but it was like I wanted to use like wrestling as a skill set, just to know my physicality and know how to like it's kind of like be a little bit more fluid with my big lumbering self.
Gotcha. All right. And have you used that in other auditions since?
Yes. If the only other time I used it in one audition was for it was for a commercial audition for, I think it was for Hulk Hogan had some video game, his own video game he was trying to come out with.
This sounds great.
Where it involved like playing inside like a sensor. So you were like, you could like do the moves.
Oh, okay.
If you do the,
that sounds awesome.
And I had a callback with him. And
that's incredible.
I had to take a body slam.
That's awesome, man.
So that was kind of fun. That was fun. And I was
from Hulk Hogan.
And I'm like, oh, I heard your back hurts. You know, like, you fix your back. I'll jump. And he's like, a slam Andre, brother. I'm like, all right, you're right. I'm just gonna be over here. I'm gonna be here f***ing myself because I just yeah, you're right. You totally did that. I'm just.
That was legendary. I watched that live, by the way. I wasn't there. I watched it on closed circuit television. That was an awesome match.
My brothers did. My brother did too. Yeah.
So you did the wrestling in Audition for College, and you've had a couple. You told me you had a couple that kind of didn't quite go well, and you had one audition that you just outright torpedoed.
Oh yeah,
those are always my favorites.
The major audition that I thought I completely shit the bed on. Was Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Oh,
yeah, that was I was up for like racist protester number 3.
Oh man, I never get called in for racist protester.
Yeah, well, it was just protester number 3, but all the shit was racist. Like even in the script, it was like Chance 9/11, like he's at a baseball game.
I love it.
Which made everyone very unsettling in the room. But then I read normally, and they're like, "Oh, would you like to read for something else instead? Like, you might be perfect for it." I'm like, "Okay,
sure."
And I read for like Motorcycle Tough Guy number 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And side backstory: one of the first auditions I got when I was with my manager was for the last Ninja Turtles movie, Out of the Shadows.
Oh, nice.
And I auditioned for Rocksteady.
Yep.
And and that was the second Ninja Turtles movie. And I got called back. I'm like, what did I get called back for? He's like, oh, both. I'm like, oh, rad. So I show up all the way to Chelsea Piers. I get on. I'm in like, I have like a hoodie with skulls and shit on it, like a denim vest, my hair slicked back, like it's like buzz slicked and like bearded. It was like almost shaved down, just for both Motorcycle Tough Guy and anti-Islamic terrorism protester number 3. I'm just in the waiting room, I'm in it. I'm just like, oh. I'm like, this is Law and Order. I gotta be serious. I gotta be fucking serious. I walk in the room, and I walk in just I'm making a beeline. I'm staring everyone down. And then this is the director, Jonathan Pressman, and I'm like, hey. And then all of a sudden, I got like a flash, like that fucking scene in Ratatouille when he eats the thing, and all of a sudden he's a child again. I am all of a sudden just like, I'm in my 8-year-old bedroom, and there's like posters on the wall for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze, and at the bottom, directed by Jonathan Pressman. And I'm just like, so I walk in as this fucking badass tough guy for these 2 badass tough guy roles.
Oh,
And I'm just like, and he's like, oh, this is the director, Jonathan Pressman. I'm just like, hey, wait, Secret of the Ooze?
the Jonathan Pressman?
Secret of the Ooze? And he's just like, yeah. And all the writers like, what? What's going on? They're all laughing their ass off. He's like, I did a Ninja Turtle movie. And I'm just like, and immediately I'm just like, I turn into a ghost. I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I just ruined. I've been a hard ass like for up until this moment, and I broke. And I'm just like, oh my god. And they're all laughing and howling and laughing at this, and I'm like, oh my god. Okay. And they're like, whenever you're ready. And I'm like, because I didn't book this. And then I do Motorcycle Tough Guy 1, and they're fucking roaring with laughter. Which, as we all know, Special Victims Unit. Finest network comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, why don't you do the next one? So I do the Racist Protester, and I chant 9/11 like it's a baseball. I'm like, 9/11. And everyone's just like, whoo. Kind of just like, got really kind of creeped out. And I'm like, you wrote it. I'm sitting there like,
I know, yeah. Seriously.
And then I hear, as I'm walking out, I hear him whisper, oh, thank God no one would actually do that now. And then I didn't leave. I stopped and I turned around. I'm like, actually, 2001, right after 9/11, I was at the game when the Yankees beat the Mariners. And there was people in the stadium whenever Ichiro Suzuki came up to bat would chant Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, it was terrible.
I had no clue.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Especially like on like October 2001 in New York City.
Yeesh.
So I leave them with that note, and they're all just like, oh, cool. And I'm like, bye. And I leave. And then I call my manager. I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, he's like, what? I'm like, so. And I explained to him exactly what happened, and he was dying laughing. Absolutely dying laughing. And then 2 days later, I'm training at a bar. And but I'm getting texts from my manager, and he's sending me like Ninja Turtle gifs. And I'm just like, because I'm thinking I'm like, all right, I get it. You're breaking my balls. Like, oh god, I get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, what's your availability? I'm like, what?
Huh?
I ended up booking Racist Protester. And then
That's so cool.
It gets even cooler. We're shooting the scene outside the courthouse, and I'm screaming network television anti-Muslim stuff, which
Fun.
is just like go home Muslims, like nothing terrible, but I'm still in a crowd of like people, and I'm just like screaming it in New York City. Like every take, I'm just like,
you're the little girl from Schindler's List. Goodbye, Jews.
Yes, but in a sense, but I'm surrounded by all these people. But everyone's going like this, so there's no sound. They're just gonna add the crowd sound anyway. So it's just this quiet crowd, and me just going like screaming this anti-Muslim stuff. But as we do more takes, my accent starts getting thicker and thicker and thicker. My director, Michael Pressman, gets out from behind Video Village, comes down, walks down the stairs, whispers right to me. He's like, less Raph, more Leo. And I was just like, that was the greatest note I've ever gotten.
On the spot, you were just like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, totally get it. I totally get it. And then, hilarious postscript. They called me in for ADR a week before it aired. And then that weekend, there was a terrorist attack in London. So they dropped my audio out when the episode aired. So I'm just one of those screaming people outside. I don't care. They left the credit.
That's great.
So
good for you, man.
But that was
that's like a fantastic audition story. It all worked out great.
It did, but at the time, it's like I'm like,
Speaking of plugging, where can people find your stuff?
Right now, you can probably find stuff I've done in the past on YouTube for the Mad Dog Tannins was a group I was a part of. That's old sketches and old shorts that I was on, as well as there's a subfolder of just all different sets I did with my old partner. Everything else I've done is on, the normal streaming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically it. I've been out of commission for the last 12 months because I broke my ankle about on January 5th. I had surgery in May, and I'm going into surgery number 2 next month.
And how's that coming along? I mean, is there any way anybody listening to this can help you out?
Yeah, if you'd like to, I have in the links in the comments or whatever I'll provide with Gary. You can get one of our Beyrer Movie Nerd shirts. There's also there is a GoFundMe to help because I also, on top of trying to walk again, I'm also having a hard time seeing my father, who's in a nursing home 4 miles away, and I don't really live in a very handicap accessible area of Astoria, Queens. So it's a lot hard for me to kind of juggle both and do stuff because it's been a rough. Insurance can only cover so much. Like, the bones are separating up again, so it's like it's either this or yeah, it's because it's not something cool, not a wrestling injury, not a Mick Foley in front of public injury. It was just I was on my way home, being a playful little dickhead, and with my agility, jumped up, clicked my heels, singing in the rain, and I landed on the curb. And yeah, it wasn't 20 feet from my front door.
Oh,
and I live in a third floor, and I live in a third floor walk up, so I've had to crawl up and down stairs for the last year.
That is Martin Grammatica style. I don't know if anybody knows that reference, but are you a football fan at all?
I know what it is.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Martin Grammatica was the kicker who made the field goal, jumped up to celebrate, and I think tore his ACL in the celebration. So, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
That's what that makes me think of. He just jumping around. Hey, I'm having a great day.
Oh nope, yep. I was on my way home from I was doing one of our last shows at QED. It was my birthday. It was my 40th birthday show.
Oh,
it was like we had a roast. It was just like, man. I wasn't even drunk. I maybe had a couple drinks. Yeah, sure. But I was 3 feet. I was 25, 30 feet from my front door on my way home. It started to rain a little bit, and in a January evening, which technically would be say the show is January 5th. So technically, I might have broken it on January 6th. So it might be a funnier story to tell people. It's like, oh, what happened? I broke my ankle. What, January 6th? Not that one. Like, no, 2 years later. Good.
You'd play a great role in that made-for-TV movie, by the way. We have to get your role on that.
Oh,
if there ever is a January 6th made-for-TV movie.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? My weight, my goatee, or my hoodie? What
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it'll go with my it'll go match up with my racist anti-Muslim protester.
Hey, that's your role, man. You got to be the buffalo guy with the coonskin cap.
Oh God, I don't have that kind of. I'd probably be one of the just one of the tubbier Proud Boys. I did play. I was Glenn Beck's producer in the Roger Ailes miniseries, The Loudest Voice.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's it came out the same year as the what's it called, the sexual harassment Adam McKay movie.
Okay.
But this one was Russell Crowe as Roger Ailes.
Huh. All right.
I was Glenn Beck's producer.
Nice.
So
that's fun.
Yeah, it was good. All it was the I made fun of that audition because it was just I'm counting down. So in my brain was like, this is Wayne's World. I'm just doing that 5, 4, and I did that, and I'm sitting there doing that. So if you can see it, it's in it's the 4th episode I think of it. And I stop at 1 and I do the, and I remember the director and the producer were all like, "Oh, that was a great idea. That was a great move." And
Have you never seen Wayne's World?
I'm like, "Party on, man!" Like,
Perfect.
all I did was just do fucking Wayne's World. I just did
Perfect.
all I
I
did was
love it.
Wayne's World.
All right. Please check out Billy's stuff. We got to get him working again, get him healed up. If you're inclined to help, I'm sure Billy very much appreciated. And are those sweatshirts like for like big donors? How's that
Oh
working?
no, this is a separate. There's two separate links. Like the
That's
donors
two
are
separate
just
things. Okay.
yes. I have a TeePublic shop. I think it's tpublic.com/Billy Beyrer.
Okay.
Might be Mr. Byra, MistaByruh, which is my Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm.
There's sweatshirts, T-shirts, stickers, the flamethrower. There's all sorts of fucking.
Thank you for the Spaceballs reference. I appreciate it.
It had to be done. I was listing them off. I had to get it up at least on the third one. So that's a separate thing. That's what I'm saying. I'll provide Gary with the links. You could put them in the description or whatever the stuff. And then there's the GoFundMe is just on top of that. It's just because it was, yeah. I'm doing what I can. Thank you, Gary, for this opportunity. It was great to hang out with you. Great to see you again.
Great seeing you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
No, anytime.